I'm like, I'm not really opposed to discounts, but I am opposed to boring stuff. So we talk about boring is bad. I talk about boring offers are bad. Mm-hmm. So if your offer is simply 30% off again, it'll only work once. Mm-hmm. It won't work when someone's trying to buy for the 5th, 6th, 7th time.
We got the red light. We got the red go.
Let's go.
Let's do this.
Sit back.
Seatbelts on.
Let's go.
Welcome to another episode of Boring is Bad for Business. As a brand studio, we've seen too many brands play it safe, and it's causing them to get lost in a sea of sameness. With this show, we want to encourage business leaders to embrace what makes them different and translate that into bold brands and experiences that delight and spark emotional connections. I'm Suji, and today I am without my co-host Joel. He is a little bit unwell.
Poor Joel.
I know, poor Joel. But as you've heard, there's another voice in the room. So I want to welcome our very first guest to Boring is Bad for Business, Ty Chapman. So Ty is the founder or a co-founder of MonsterUpsells, an app that increases average order value without decreasing the value of brand or product. He's also an e-commerce digital marketer, which is something I probably should have started with. And so today's episode, if you are an e-commerce brand or an e-commerce store, you absolutely want to tune in. Having known Ty personally, he is a wealth of information about scaling your e-commerce brand and brings a really fresh and interesting and current perspective to this chat.
Wow. Thank you. That was an awesome intro. Let's leave it there.
Keep it on file for that. Well, thank you so much for having us, joining us today, Ty. So just to kick things off, I know about your personal story. We've worked alongside each other in a co-working space, which was above a cafe that you once owned. And today, as I mentioned, you are the co-founder of a Shopify app. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about your story and what you're doing in the e-commerce space today?
Yeah. It's been a long journey from cafe owner through to now owning Shopify apps. Yes. Very interesting. We went to... All right, the story went, I was sitting in a cafe, my cafe. Someone was doing e-commerce stuff in the background, and I was like, man, that looks awesome. I got really intrigued by what they're doing. I'm like, man, can you teach me how to do this? Sell stuff online, which was drop shipping at that time. And he was just making really good money. But he just kept bugging me, like sitting at the back of my cafe every single day, and it just got my attention. I'm like, okay, hang on, I'm going to quit my business, my job, hired someone. And then I was like, mate, can you train me for a month to do what you do? And from then on, I just jumped into the world of drop shipping, did really well there. Like, it was weird, like how well and how quick that blew up. I made some great money. But the funny thing is like, I just knew there was something extra that needed to happen. Like, it didn't feel right to me, that it wasn't really in tune with who I am and what I want to do with my life is just sell random stuff online, which is, no offense, drop shipping is awesome for a lot of people out there, and it does well. You can do really well and build businesses off it. But I just had a passion for branding and getting into the world of business and brands and building real things that give back and add value to the world. So I went from drop shipping into basically building a mini agency that helps scale brands online through Facebook ads and digital marketing and everything like that. Then got a job, one of my clients, I decided to just double down on helping out one client, and we blew them up from 5 figures when they first started with us a year to 8 figures. Just huge explosion of growth there. And there's a whole heap of stuff I learned along the way in digital marketing. That I got a really broad set of skills from that whole process. And one thing I figured out that I was trying to solve constantly was how do I increase average order value for this brand that was doing 8 figures a year without devaluing brand and products, which I know that you guys are really about. It's all about branding and everything like that. No, we've talked about like being product focused over brand focused. You can probably elaborate on that. And I soon realized, that there was a need for an app or some kind of plugin that could help solve this problem for brands all around the world.
Awesome. I mean, that's a huge journey. I know that is like, you literally kept that to your
there's
light
so
touch
much more to that.
Absolutely. And so what sort of time frame, just to put some context in that, like how many years was that journey?
Probably 5 years.
5 years, yeah. Which is incredible. And to scale that client, I know that client well that you worked with to do the results. I'm sure that there would have been a lot of trial and error through that process. Yeah,
definitely. It was, the way I learn, funny enough, I think it helps in the digital marketing spaces. I learn by failing. and failing as fast as I can, and just trying new ideas constantly. And that's kind of how you grow in this space of digital marketing when there's no courses, there's a lot of courses, but there's a whole lot of
Do you think that they're outdated by the time they get published?
Oh, 100%.
And that's why?
Yeah, university can't keep up with any of this stuff. Or like any like normal education will never be able to keep up with this kind of thing because it just changes daily. And the thing that gives you an edge is normally the thing that can't be just taught in a course. It's because you've just figured it out or you've learned from someone, you've networked or something like that. Does that make sense?
Oh, I love that. And I love the idea of failing and failing fast because that is actually, everybody talks about they want to be an innovative brand or a brand that is innovative. But when we dig deeper with founders, like, do you let people fail? Do you have room for failing? Because
100%.
That's how you are innovative.
Yeah, I kind of struck gold with, so when I was building that mini agency, I kind of landed on a brand who just, their team I just synced really well with their team. But one thing I figured out is that they were willing to fail. They weren't failing, but they were willing to just try things and try new stuff, and that's what hooked me in. I'm like, man, this is awesome. So they would have never been able to hire someone like myself with this kind of broad skill set and everything like that. But it's because they were so progressive and willing to just move forwards that they ended up with someone like myself that they would never be able to hire, but they could actually research and bring skill sets like direct response marketing and copywriting with and all of that stuff. Anyway.
I love that. And so what would you say, just taking a bit of a tangent from our planned questions, to the store owner who is a little bit scared of failing? Like, what do you think, or like that they're worried about taking a risk?
Look, I always this is kind of a weird way to put it, but I fear like complete failure of my business more than just failing. Mm-hmm. So be more scared of your business failing because at the end of the day, your business is probably not going to exist in, let's just say 5 years. Most businesses don't exist. 10 years, it rarely exists. And your business is never going to be around forever. Okay. So eventually it will come to a halt unless you're like Coca-Cola, if you really think about it, there's massive brands out there that have existed and they keep existing, to this day, but it's really rare that you'll be one of them. I'm not saying you shouldn't go for it.
I agree. It's rare.
Or like Nike is massive. Like go for Nike, be that. But at the end of the day, I fear like almost be more scared of the bigger failure of things just not end up working out than just fearing to fail in the small things, just trying new stuff. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think sometimes maybe an example of your business failing could be somebody else doing it before you do. Taking a risk, or somebody else doing it a little bit better than you do.
You can't afford not to be taking chances right now.
Yeah.
Especially in digital marketing in the social media world and branding. You do have to take risks to stay relevant. Because the thing is about e-commerce, I'm talking e-commerce specifically, is the barrier to entry is actually really low. It's so easy to start a brand or like to build a website. It's extremely easy. I can just start selling cups right now that I bought from down the street, and I've got a brand or a business or whatever. It's super low, but to differentiate yourself, I truly believe one of the only ways to differentiate is to actually just stay ahead of the curve and just keep trying. Never giving up, and being okay with failure. And that's it.
Yeah. And maybe that brand, which brings us back to that difference between product and price-based versus a brand-led approach.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in my words, I would say that being brand-led, if you had the example of cups, let me think of my feet here.
Yeah.
You're a store with cups. Being a brand-led, if someone came to me and said, I've got these cups, I've got these glasses, I'd say, okay, well, we want to wrap a story around that.
Yep.
Tell me about these cups. At like what time does somebody pull out these cups? Does it make them feel really proud, or do they feel really sophisticated by drinking out of them? And if it is that sophistication path, then we're going to go, okay, well, what does that lifestyle look like? Are they a millennial? Are they someone who's just moved out of home? Are they an older person? What does this cup represent to them? And we're no longer talking about the material that the glass is made out as the leading thing, or the price that it's built on.
100%. Yeah. And I interviewed someone just recently on my YouTube podcast thing. I can talk about it later. But yeah, one thing that just kept coming up, we were talking about, is that story is what actually sells at the end of the day. So if you are selling a product, what you want to do is attach story to it. It's so much easier to sell a product when there is a story aligned with it, or a cause. Okay.
Yeah.
So, well, hang on. a cause is a story. It's just easier to attach a cause. Like, we're going to help these people with this product that does X, Y, Z, or
that's
whatever.
tapping into culture as well. We're becoming a lot more empathetic. We're becoming more understanding and wanting to, I guess, be conscious of the way we spend our money as consumers, as a big generalization.
100%.
Yeah. And so, did it take you long to come around? Because you said originally you started in drop shipping, and then that's moved to a brand-led approach. Did it take you long to change from that drop shipping mindset to being more brand and story focused?
Yeah, this is one of these like trial and error things again. It was funny. And also fear. Like it's weird. Like, fears for me, like, I actually a lot of the time drive what I do, but I'm not scared to fail. I just I have a fear of something, so I'm going to try and solve it. So when I was doing direct response marketing for that brand that we'd scaled to big numbers, right? We got to a pretty high number. I probably don't want to talk about too many figures or that brand because I'm not really allowed to. But basically, we got to a cap where we're like, okay, well, what do we do now? And the company was relying on me for this top of funnel traffic thing. They're like, oh, we're making this much money and it's going well. Ty, how do you get to the next level? Like, we need a push. Oh, we're not hitting targets, Ty. What are you doing wrong? And I'm just like, oh man, like, you're just throwing stuff at me. I'm just creating ads. Like, I'm just trying to make stories around the products that you've got. And look, so that was happening to me, and it kind of hit me where I was like, hey, I've got to do something different. These guys have almost exhausted my talent of, like, I can sell something, like, to someone. And I was like, hang on, what do we do next? And I don't know where it came from. I'm not sure. Like, I research a lot. I'm playing a lot of Facebook groups and things, but I just came up, this idea came to me, like, let's build community around your products. And if we can build community, it's going to have a lot of stickability, and lifetime value is going to go through the roof. That was my goal, is to build an e-commerce store's lifetime value, right? And which is, we can touch on that later, that is the most important number. If you're looking at metrics, I believe, lifetime value.
Yeah, let's definitely get to that.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, let's focus on the lifetime value, because I can spend so much on the front end to, like, clickbait someone to a product or to an ad, but how do we tell the story in a way that keeps people engaged and involved for the lifetime? And funny, as soon as we started doing that and thinking differently, how do we have a customer not just come back for sale 1, 2, and maybe 3, but how do we get someone to come back for sale 10, and, like, in 5 years' time they're still buying from us? And the answer is pretty much it's community. To me.
And connection.
And connection.
Connected to
community, connection to the product and the brand. Like, you feel like you're a part of something. I'm sure there's other ways to do it, but this is just where I fell in. And so it kind of came out of this fear. I was like, I don't want to let these guys down. I need to bring in something new, and that's what kind of popped out the other end. I'm like, okay, now this is working. We got this brand now we got them to 8 figures, which was insane. But it was because of all the work we did the few years before that, which was all about branding and like positioning and building that community. Cool.
I love that. And this is relating to a conversation I had with somebody else. It's like, why do you love working for yourself or being an entrepreneur? And my answer was that it is actually a very creative endeavor, and it's always, you're presented with a problem like you were. Like, hey, I'm exhausted out of all the strategies and tactics I have at this product and price level. How can I go about thinking about this problem differently?
Yeah.
And that's kind of put you on that path.
Yeah.
And I think it's good business. It's like, well, I could spend X getting a number of customers, or I could spend the same amount, and that same amount could get me a customer for a lifetime. It's 100%. Good business.
I was actually trying to de-risk myself. I'm like, these guys might get rid of me eventually if I can't do better. That's literally it. I was like, these guys might get rid of me. And they were like, the pay was good and everything was great. I loved them. So yeah, I was just trying to de-risk. My ad skills were only so good. And I was like, comparison. And I was like, maybe I could just throw in. Let's go community branding and everything like that.
Yeah, love that. Let's take another turn. What's been notable in 2022 for e-commerce and digital marketing?
Yeah, so a few things. Look, I get to chat to a lot of store owners and see heaps of stuff in the space. Owning a Shopify app. I also have a community as well, funnily enough, that I'm trying to build, where I just throw as much information and everything that I've learned possible into that Facebook community as I can. And I create YouTube content and everything like that. And I get a lot of feedback from people saying, is everyone else struggling this month? Or how's everyone doing here? And I get to throw up polls and things like that and see what people are saying. And one thing that comes up is that there's brands right now or niches right now that are really crushing it. Like, they're doing doing so well. And no one really wants to hear about them because they want to make them
What
feel...
are some of those brands? I do. Or niches.
Niches. Good question. I'll get to that part in a sec. So there's niches that are doing really well, and there's brands that are doing really well. The niche thing is like... it's like maybe it's like a health and wellness niche. Like that niche is going really well, okay? Depending on the products, you might still be getting crushed. Like, I don't know, you might have lots of competition and everything. But the health and wellness niche in general, I think after COVID and everything like that, has done really well. But the funny thing is most of the brands, even ones that you don't suspect doing well, are the ones that invested years ago or like last year when things were getting tough. They're investing hardcore into community and list building.
And is that an email list?
Database? So building their databases, building Facebook groups and email, things that they kind of somewhat own, email and SMS and stuff. So that's kind of been a pattern, I guess, in the industry. Is the brands that are killing it are the ones that focus on that lifetime value email database, and they're going for the long term play. They're doing well. A lot of the guys who are struggling are the ones that are mainly playing in that space I talked about before. So direct response marketing, final money into the ad machine, money out of the ad machine. A lot of them are struggling purely because Facebook, it's getting more expensive. Because a lot of other things like technical stuff that has happened. I don't know if you want to talk about that.
Yeah, we can touch on it. I hope that people who listen to this they're probably using Facebook ads. So
So basically Facebook ads, it kind of got crushed. Hang on, I don't really know the dates. I am a Facebook ad nerd. Well, I have been in the past, but I can't give you all the dates.
You've got 2 young kids as well, and I know firsthand when you have young children, time and years, they just get all blended into one.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, so basically there was an update in summary, there was an update that had to happen that Apple forced Facebook and all the other platforms not to be able to track across their platforms, okay? So there's not much cross-tracking anymore, which was like the epic thing about Facebook. It was
about 12 months ago, wasn't it?
It was like 12 months, maybe even longer ago, I think. But the effects didn't come in until the last 6 to 12 months. The crunch is, people are feeling it now. But so because those algorithms changed, like ads, it's getting more expensive to reach your target customer and more expensive to drive traffic. And that has a huge flow-on effect to brands to this day. Yeah,
absolutely. I think that there's even been a shift, especially like the way the Instagram algorithm is showing and sharing, and you can get reach on there. And I know where we're not always day-to-day in e-commerce, we're more like professional services, brands and helping people. People are really struggling to reach their audience, and offline tactics and even community and all the basics of marketing are actually starting to have a real resurgence, and people are saying, hey, we probably relied too heavily on these quick wins. Yeah. And perhaps that's what you're saying, the people who were relying on the quick wins where you're kind of at the mercy of whoever's algorithm it is or whoever's tech it is. That tap can be turned off at any time, whereas if you have a warm audience in the form of a community or the form of a list, you always have that community to turn back to and keep building that relationship with.
Yeah, 100%. It's the people, you just got to adapt. This is, and it's funny right now, like I'm convinced that next year or the year after we're going to say the same thing, like, oh, it was so good in 2022. Remember, we could just do this. I don't know what that is. Like, remember when on TikTok we could post something and reach 1.5 million people, like that won't exist in a few years' time.
It's the trend. There's a graph. There's a scientific thing about this adoption.
I can tell you a bit later, like all of the underpriced attention that I think that'd be a cool thing to talk about.
What is that?
Underpriced attention. It's kind of like direct response marketing world. It's like terms you want to say where you're like, okay, I can put effort into this. It doesn't have to be paid effort, but I can put effort into this and get a big return out of it. There's a few things that I reckon you can be doing. So yeah, TikTok organic is incredible. Same thing with Reels. Reels on Instagram. You want to be, if possible, you want to be making content specific for each one. Also, YouTube Shorts is doing really well as well. So that's all the organic kind of things. So that's all the organic stuff I'd be going after right now. I can do paid again.
Yeah, later. And I think just to reiterate on that, like that's right now. It might change in a little bit. And my tips for that, to add on to that, your content should be, if you can, have an idea in there. It's going to cut through, and it's hard. That video to keep up producing the video content, but what stands out even though those algorithms are favoring that short and sharp video content, is idea-led content or story-led content.
Yep.
And it gets if you can get an emotional response out of your viewers.
Yeah, 100% agree.
Awesome. So what do you think store owners should be thinking about coming into the last quarter of the year and preparing for the end of the year and then even looking forward into the next year?
Yeah, okay. Store owners. I got a lot to say on this, but I'll just kind of keep short. Because I've worked with big brands, I know what they're doing. And like what they're doing right now is they've got a marketing calendar. If you don't have a marketing calendar, get one. If you
Tip
have
one.
an e-commerce, just get a marketing calendar. I actually have a free one that I've given away to heaps of people.
We'll link to your community.
Link to it. Yeah, link to my community. And that marketing calendar is gold. People don't realize how much gold it is, but it should be the lifeblood of your business, like the central thing. So you want to get a marketing calendar. But in that marketing calendar, I actually believe, and there's a lot of people who are against this, I kind of butt heads with a lot of people, that running offers are okay. Running an offer every month on your brand or store is completely okay. So this is going to be underlying everything else is saying quarter four. So it's okay to run an offer every single month on your store. It's not okay to completely destroy your brand and say 50% off every single month on your store. But what it is what I encourage people to do is be creative with your offer. What you want to be doing is creating stories for you to keep connecting and building a store and talking about your product. Like what's new. Try and create offers that have stories attached to them.
Could you give us a made-up offer for our cup scenario?
Yeah, well, like you could do something like for this month only, we're giving 10% of all revenue to XYZ community. Or like cause or something like that. That's one offer. It's probably not that strong because you're not giving it. It's not something that you feel as a buyer.
We
that's
asked you to do it on the spot. Yeah, as well.
Yeah. But there's other offers like we're giving everyone a free something that complements that. So like a free
partnership as well with another brand.
Yeah, partnering with another brand this month, and we're giving a free product from that brand over. So it's about a lot of people don't like running discounts on their e-commerce store, and I'm like, I'm not really opposed to discounts, but I am opposed to boring stuff. So we talk about boring is bad. I talk about boring offers are bad. So if your offer is simply 30% off again, it'll only work once. It won't work when someone's trying to buy for the 5th, 6th, 7th time. They're just like, it doesn't really work anymore. You need to stay different and relevant with your offers. So things like, I love giving away free products. Reason being is you can normally get something that has high value, that doesn't cost much. You can get given it from another brand, normally for free because they want to do cross promotion. Yeah. So it's really easy to get that happening. And you can also get into their list if you do it well. You can get into their list and bring their customers over. But yeah, if you can give away a free product that has a high perceived value, but it doesn't cost you anything, what happens is, and then say, we give this away free, but only people who spend over X amount on my store, that is not an offer that's really devaluing your brand. You know what I mean?
Oh,
does that make sense?
Absolutely. And if it's a product that your customer, if you can really get into their lifestyle and their psyche, and you know that your cup buyer also loves to drink Mr. Consistent drinks, and you can partner up with them, as a customer, I'd look at that and go, hell yeah, I was going to buy that. I was going to buy that mixer anyway. I'll get my glasses at the same time, or whichever way the offer goes.
Totally. And it expands your branding as well. Because if you, like, say you're in health and wellness, like everyone could be like, oh, you just sell candles. It's like, well, we're candles, but we're bigger than that. Because we sell candles, but we believe this. And so do these guys. This is how we're going to prove it to you. We're going to partner with these guys who believe the same things as us. And you leverage their audience and leverage their...
And it might be about human design, for example. So a business that's completely different. It's not a product business, but it's complementary to what that customer's lifestyle is.
Exactly, yeah.
I love that about discounts that are boring or offers that are boring. Yeah. You're against that.
This is another thing as well, a huge tip for a lot of people. So brands that are doing well, who do well long-term in e-commerce, they crush with their lists, their email lists. I'm telling you now, not many people realize this, but most brands that you buy from, minimum like 30% of their revenue come from their email list. Minimum. And the funny thing is they rely on that, and that's not just like that is planned. That is their business plan. They will lose money on sale 1, 2, 3 because they know they can make up for it because of the list that they're building to be able to sell to someone for life. And what you can do if you're really clever is you can actually send a ton of emails to people without spamming them. So people are always scared, and they always ask me, how many emails should I send someone a week or whatever? I'm like, well, the answer is you can send as many as you want, just don't be boring and add value.
And not a lot of brands do it well, though, because a lot of people, it is a lot of, I've got one inbox that's just for spam, pretty much, sign-ups. A majority of them don't do it well. Yeah. What are some of your tips then for email marketing offers and email marketing that is valuable to the customer?
Yeah. So one of them is don't be scared. Okay. So don't be scared if someone leaves you or gets put in. Like if you're telling your story and you're doing it well. Okay. So if you're doing a good job and you're telling a story and you're delivering value and everything like that in all of your emails, right? And people are unsubscribing, you don't want them to be a part of your community. That's one of the things that people don't really want to hear a lot of the time. Like, oh, my email list is the open rate's not as high. It's like, well, because you actually don't want some people.
They're not your people.
Yeah, they're not your people. Now, on the other hand, you could just be doing really bad email, sending out stupid stuff. All right. What I recommend whenever you're doing email, right, is set up all the basic flow stuff, which is just like if you've got any system that you're plugging into, Klaviyo is the most important. There's a heap of other. Don't use MailChimp. Just putting it out there. They're not built for e-commerce. The Klaviyo, there's a few others out there that are really good with e-commerce, and they've got these flows built in. So browse abandonment, cart abandonment, welcome series, win back. And that's all there. The eight-figure brand I was working with, we used a massive machine learning company that did all that email stuff, which is awesome. So basically just set up all your flows, but then after that, you want to set up a welcome series or like just a series that basically intros your entire brand and delivers as much value as you can to someone who hasn't even purchased from you. You just want to make them feel almost horrible that they haven't purchased from you because of how much value you've given. Like you've taught them this, you've helped them with their family, or you've like think of all these little problems that you can solve that are around your product, but maybe not your exact product, or even just problems that your product solves. But yeah, making sure that you are consistently delivering like proper value and telling stories throughout your emails. Another cool tip for this as well is if you're doing a lot of blogging, repackage it into email. It's really easy to do that. Repackaging blogging.
Well, a blog is essentially an email. It's a piece of email content.
100%.
And people don't read it. I mean, we fell into this trap as well. We put it on the blog, but we don't think about it again. I guarantee that if we send our blogs out,
no one's reading it.
They haven't read our blogs at all. So.
Yeah, and you can repurpose that blog. This is the other thing. You can repurpose that blog 3 times as well. Like you can just remind people in 6 months' time. So yeah, build that welcome series. Like I said, you could build an automated one that goes for like 12 months or 6 months. Okay. So that's onboarding everyone into your brand, like indoctrinating them and also inviting them to your community or Facebook group and things like that. But then you want to also have offers that come in, and this is what good brands do. They have marketing plans. They might send an offer a solid offer every month minimum, which might go for a week.
A creative solid offer.
Yeah, a creative solid offer for at least a week every month. And what that also does is it makes all of your paid marketing way more profitable because you don't have to be as direct responsey and scary and spammy. You can just start building relationships through your paid offer, your paid marketing, and then you get them into your list and you can close them with that offer every single month. And it works really well.
And that offer's free to provide. It's not tied to a cost per click like an ad is.
No, yeah. Once you got someone on your list, they're free to keep. Yeah,
keep going. And I've also heard as well that there's businesses who are looking to sell or investment. Then they're less appealing, well, if not, probably not even viable as an investment if their reliance on paid ads is too high. And I think that's probably why you're saying that a lot of the brands who are really smashing it have at least 30% of their revenue allocated to it. It's going to be generated from our email list.
Yeah, if you want to be a valuable brand, you got to do a couple of things. So you just got to build lists for starters. Paid ads is not bad. It's amplification. You don't want to it's still okay to rely on it for top of funnel. I think it's important to still pay and get yourself out there. If you want to scale your brand, a lot of people want to stay smaller and everything. I'm not that kind of person. I'm a growth person, and I think it's important to still amplify your message or story. And close people with offers and stuff with paid amplification. If you want to make your brand valuable, so you've got lists, you've got communities, and subscription. That's pretty much how you build an e-commerce brand that's actually going to be worth anything.
Awesome. And do you think most e-commerce brands can do a subscription? No, so it's limited to...
They
things
should.
that- yeah.
You should try. Be creative. Yeah, like how do you do a cup subscription? I guess you can.
I think you could if you
Yeah,
made it as
get
special
creative.
release. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's I think
single
it's
month.
low-hanging fruit for a lot of business owners that
Yeah.
don't see that. Yeah, especially those items that are regular use, toothpaste, pet food,
It comes down to the boring thing we talked about before. Like, you just can't be boring. Like, socks, easy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Subscription. Cups, yeah, maybe you can do that too. Who knows? But if you've got like a subscription to couches, I don't know.
I have seen furniture rental, which I think is fantastic.
Well, there you go.
That was amazing. Yeah. So just like
Maybe
wardrobe
you
rental,
can. Yeah.
renting your furniture, and it
Wow.
was really aimed at, through COVID, young people who love to DIY and change their space. I was like, that is incredible.
Yeah. Subscription is where it's at, if you can get into that
Yep.
space.
And it's kind of tied to what you're saying, like where you went from product and price and like lifetime value of a customer.
Yep.
It goes up. I think it's all tied to that growth mindset and trying to scale.
Yeah, 100%. Like, yep.
Love that. So another area that you're really passionate about is conversion rate optimization. What are some common mistakes that you see stores making that are hurting their conversion rates?
All right. First thing is, I'm not passionate about conversion rate optimization.
Oh,
I'm
I've seen-
passionate
okay.
about revenue optimization. Okay. Two different things. So this is one of the mistakes people make is they go all in on conversion rate optimization, which I was. So I'm a dropshipper guy and I've done I'm the one that everyone doesn't really like, right? Brands don't really like people that do dropshipping and things like that. And fair enough. Okay. But to increase conversion rate, I can easily do it. All you have to do is run a 90% off offer on your product. You've literally inflated your conversion rate through the roof. And also the other way to increase your conversion rate is have less people visit your store. So that's two ways to do it. And
Dark arts, I'd say.
yeah. And I have to be honest, like I've played in these things. I'm like, I've got to try and impress this store. So I'm telling anyone who's hiring agencies, I know how to like the little tricks to inflate things and deflate like numbers and things like that. So conversion rate to me, it's still important to have a good conversion rate. 2 to 3% is normal, but it depends on how big you are. If you're a massive company, you probably got a smaller conversion rate. But revenue optimization to me is about making basically giving yourself the best chance of getting the most revenue out of customers in general, not every single customer. Because if you're going for every single customer, you'd be thinking about conversion rate optimization again, going into that kind of lens. But it's about drawing the most revenue and value out of a customer as you possibly can, and giving yourself the best opportunity to make the most, increase profit and everything like that. So that's mistake number one. You're going for conversion rate, not revenue.
Got it.
Yeah, so you don't want to just devalue your brand and product by running those sales and things, if possible. The next thing is just being very specific about the outcome of your store. So most people like to be really fancy with they're trying to almost show off to their customer when they visit them, and I see this happen all the time. Like think about the outcome of your store that you're after, and normally it's just getting a paid customer, right? Like educating them about the product. If they didn't know about you or your product, you want to educate them about the product or the problem that it solves and aggravate it, and then you want to just get them to the checkout, right? If they did know about you, you just want to get them to the checkout as quick as possible. They already know about your product, they want it. Don't try and build something super elaborate and get super fancy with all bells and whistles and everything like that. If the actual goal is to just get them to check out. Joel, funnily enough, he brought this up to me once. He was kind of tackling with the idea, because I used to work next to Joel, and he's like, he built, I think he was building his own website. Yeah. And he decided, he's like, I'm just going to simplify everything. He read a book somewhere. And he's like, why don't I just build a website that people already know how to consume in the format? I can't remember what that's called. Using the mental models that people already have established in their head. Yeah. So when you visit an e-commerce store, you are expecting the store to work in a certain way. Mm-hmm. Don't mess with it. Don't make it work completely different. You just want to there's a homepage, a collection, a product page, a checkout.
There's patterns that we're used to.
Yeah, there's patterns. Yeah. And first of all, don't mess with that. And then what you want to do is remove all the noise from that. don't just try and impress your customers the whole way through. You just want to add value, aggravate the problem, and solve it in a way and get them to check out. So being outcome, remove all of the noise, and being very particular about where you're drawing focus the whole way through. So you guys would know, like, talk about this, or designing websites and everything like that like visual hierarchy is really important. Like, where do you want people to actually go? Like, there's a call to action straight away, like shop bestsellers should be at the top in the middle. Like, you want to get people to the products that most people buy. That's really important.
Make your buttons stand out.
Make your buttons stand out. Like, have contrast.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, it's pretty simple. Like, people pretty much skim read now. They really only read headlines. And that's it. Headings and headlines. So make sure that your headings and headlines have all your benefits and your benefits and outcomes that you want to get across to your customer, and don't hide all that stuff in the descriptions.
I think that's something that's underutilized in a lot of e-commerce stores that I see come to us is the product page, and talking about I think there is a line that you can cross where there's too much information and too much noise getting in the way of the sale. However, there's also a point where there's just not enough information on that product page about the benefits.
Yep.
And you can do a lot of really great visual storytelling. I agree, people skim read and they're very fast, even if you were considering a product that's kind of a high value. But you can show that those features and those benefits, more importantly, in interesting ways with iconography, short, sharp sentences. And it's often a page with e-commerce stores that we see they haven't really put a lot of time and attention into that.
Yeah, 100%. I totally agree with you.
Awesome. All right. So the name of our podcast is Boring is Bad for Business. What's an e-commerce brand, or who is an e-commerce brand that you think is doing well at standing out and not being boring?
Yeah. I've got two.
You can have
read
two.
the question. Yeah. So I've got two. I think they're pretty similar in nature, but people can go to them and kind of steal different things from them. I like stealing.
Steal. What do they say? Own. Yeah, you steal the idea and then make it your own.
Yeah, don't borrow, steal. Yes. Make it your own. All right. So one brand in particular is called Happy Ways in Australia.
Haven't heard of them. What do they do?
They're a protein. To be honest, I don't buy their products because I'm not in the space. I'm not in the niche.
For anyone who's listening, Ty is just like muscle man ripped.
I do buy some protein, but they've gone. The thing is, they've gone hard on their avatar, right? And I'm not really their avatar.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's where I was getting to. So the avatar. So the Happy Ways. Their slogan is something to do with we don't compromise on flavor, or fun. You know, and they've worked that into like everything about their brand. When you hit their site, it's popping, and the yellow and like the lifestyle imagery is just so epic, and it just hits you, and you're like, oh, I want to be a part of this brand as you go through it. So their website's really good. To be honest, I can't dive into. I don't know about their community and everything because I probably am not attached enough to be able to know all of that stuff. But I know they do well, so I'm sure they have a really rocking community, and they have a huge amount of 5-star reviews, just putting an ad out there for the guys, which is funny because they're actually a user of our product as well, software.
There you go.
Our app, MonsterUpsells. And the other cool thing is they're not boring as well. I think they run a lot of offers on their stores and stuff, which is they would be converting offers. And a lot of stories would be like, basically those offers would allow them to tell a lot of stories through their emails and through all of their other channels, which is awesome. But they're not like really devaluing their products. It's not like a really big sale all day, every day. So I think they've got a good balance. The other one is called Obvi, which is, funnily enough, they're actually another protein, like they're another supplements company. They're in the States though. So this is funny because it's the same product line, but completely different angles or stories that they're telling, which is probably really good for you guys.
That's a prime example of the differentiate, like product-based versus brand-based.
Yeah, if I was going to go two brands, I'm like, these two are pretty much nailing it. So you got the Australian one, which is Happy Ways, and then Obvi is really crushing. I think they do over $200 million a year in supplements in the US, and they've just blown up. They came out of nothing. Their digital marketing team is just killer. But their branding is like bright pop pink, and it's just something that you don't really see. Like you see these big tough guys all walking into gyms. I'm imagining this is where they went for. They're like, let's not go for the big tough guys in the gym, protein shakes and everything like that. Let's go let's go to the most poppin' pink color, most ridiculous thing that'll stand out wherever you see it. And the way that they talk and the way that they communicate through their copy and everything is just really cool too.
Awesome. I'm going to check those out. They sound really fun.
Yeah, do it. And they also run really cool offers as well. So free gifts. They're famous for doing free gifting on their site. They've kind of coined the whole idea and done it really well. And they do it through a cart that pops out the side of the screen. Not mine.
I was going to say.
It's actually not mine. App. They custom built it. But I have so many people pestering me to try and do... Yeah, like they're coming over to us because they've seen this brand.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyway.
Let's talk about your app.
Yeah.
Tell us, what is MonsterUpsells, how does it work, and what's the benefit?
Yeah, so basically it's an app designed to increase average order value of customers coming through your site without devaluing your product or brand with like scary offers and countdown timers and all the stuff that all the tricks that everyone's using. Okay, we're not trying to be tricky. We're trying to just incentivize, and that's pretty much it. So it's basically making it really clear that if you add a little bit more, something will happen to your cart, and that's kind of it.
What are some ways that stores would use this? Like what type of offers are they putting in?
Yeah, good question. To be honest, free gift is our bread and butter. Hardly anyone it's kind of a new concept that not many people are playing in yet in the upsell space. So if you wanted to offer free gifts for certain unlocks and stuff, we've just gone really hard on communicating that kind of offer really well. The other one is like buying more, saving more. So just buying more of the same product. You save
right,
a
and it pops
more.
out when you've got it in your cart. A message pops up to prompt you.
Yeah. Sorry, I'll explain what it actually visually looks like. Yeah, I forgot we're on podcast.
We're on a podcast. This is tough.
Yeah. So basically, when someone adds to cart, our MonsterUpsells cart pops out the side of the screen. So it feels like it's intuitive and native to the store, and it's got your branding and everything all over it. So it doesn't look like it's something that just jumps out and hits you, which decreases your conversion rates.
Doesn't look like a cheap plugin.
No.
Yeah.
We get complimented all the time about the ability of optimizing it as much as possible to make it look like our brand, which is really cool. We get complimented on that all the time. So that's it. It just pops out the side of the screen and it just incentivizes people to add more to their cart. I'll tell you there's this one more. Two more things. It's got machine learning in it. So it basically has a frequently bought together section that does all that stuff. Everyone's kind of familiar with that idea. The last thing, which is skyrocketing and it's just doing so well for stores and hardly anyone knows about it yet, is one tick upsells. It's basically having a little tick above your add to cart that has a product attached to it. Okay. So like you tick this little box and it adds a product to the cart, right? It's good like to say that, but the thing that's working so well is people adding shipping protection to orders, right? We advise people to pre-tick this little tick for like $1.99. I've seen stores do $3.99. They pre-tick this little tick in their store above their add to cart button, and 3 out of 4 people actually just take the offer. And it basically I've seen stores make over $70,000 in a month.
And are they happy? Are their customers happy?
Yeah,
to have that protection?
that's the next
got to be
thing.
Valuable, right?
Yeah. See, I'm all about like not annoying and pissing off your customers, having them come back all the time. So you don't want that. We have had like pretty much 0 people complain about it. It's becoming like a normal thing for people now. There's $1 billion company that actually created the idea called Route. They're $1 billion company for a reason. They partner with a lot of all the massive Shopify companies out there and partner with their checkouts and did this exact thing I just talked about. But the thing is we don't charge like them. We let you keep all the revenue, and it's just a little tick that sits above the add to cart button. And look, I'm just advising everyone to try it.
Yeah, look,
easy win.
If it helps the customer, it's got to come from a place of helping and adding value.
Well, it's actually a value add to me. It's like shipping protection. Like I'm protecting the offer, the product that I'm sending you. And most people don't untick it because I want you to protect it. So it's also like this is a special thing. I want to keep it protected. And
it's coming from a real, I think, concern at the moment where the resource networks, utilities across the world are really put at high pressure because everything's under-resourced.
Yeah.
There are issues with shipping happening a lot. There are
Yeah.
issues with cancellations,
People
et cetera.
scamming and stuff too.
Yes, true. I think it's a real concern that people are having. So it makes sense to me that it's there.
That's
so
it.
is there anything else we should know about Monster Upsells, Monster Apps? Can any size store use it? Like, is there? Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, anyone can use it. And we scale with your store. Like the smallest plan, I think, is $12.99, and the largest one is $139. But like, you normally make that back in a week. And if you can't make the money, if you can't justify having it, just turn it off. We give people a free trial anyway.
Yeah, great.
But yeah, if you can't have it, I'm not here to try and sell it to you. Like, literally put it on. If it doesn't make you more money, just turn it off. I'm not like, it should make you more money, and it makes the thousands of people who use it more money. So here we go.
Yeah. No, and I think it comes back to your ethos. A lot of the conversation today, you have been coming from the place of wanting to help.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if it adds value, it's for you. But if it doesn't add value, perhaps there's something else you need to be looking at.
Yeah, totally. Some stores it's actually not for.
Yeah.
It's pretty rare, but it happens. And I've told them that. I'm like, guys, this is probably the wrong solution because you've got some crazy bundling thing that happens inside of your store and we can't connect to it. So I'm really sorry.
Yeah. No, I love that. Honesty
I'd rather be honest.
Honesty is the best policy.
Yeah.
So that actually brings us to the last of our questions. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I've learned something as well, of course, sitting down and diving into e-commerce. And I'm sure that our listeners can. So listeners, how can they connect with you? And I'll put these links into our show notes as well.
Yeah, so there's a whole heap of different places. I'm in tons of like the e-commerce groups that are out there. So you probably see my name pop up in Shopify Australia. I'm in there a lot. We have a Facebook group called Shopify Monster Community. And just basically you can just jump on Facebook and try and find us there. If you want to follow me on TikTok, my name is Shopify.
I didn't know that you're on TikTok. I'm checking it out.
Yeah, I
You're
crush
gonna be a
the
follower.
TikTok. I love TikTok. It's just so good to just try and just put like nuggets of value out there. It's so awesome fun. So those two places, or if you jump on our app, you'll end up probably in our ecosystem. So I'm often creating content for people who are in our lists and things like that. That is all associated with our Monster Upsells app. That's pretty much it.
Fantastic. Well, thank you.
Can I just say one more thing? I actually have a course that I'm releasing. Yeah.
Oh, special announcement.
Yeah, special announcement. You didn't know about this, but it's a free course, and I have a lot of people asking me about that revenue optimization thing we talked about, and I'm like, oh man, I just need to create some content around this. So it's a free course. I'm actually in the middle of it. It should be out hopefully by the time this podcast is done. Hopefully we can have a link for it. But it's completely free, and it's just teaching everyone how to think when the revenue optimization, giving them a ton of frameworks, tips and tricks, and heaps of practicals. And then it shows you, I try to show you practically what I do on a few different stores. So yeah, that course, hopefully you can put that out to everyone.
We'll absolutely share that. I know straight away there's quite a few of our clients in e-commerce who would benefit from that. So we'll definitely share that around. We'll also share that to our database too on email.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, thank you so much for joining us. As I said, I've learned a lot from you. And if you've enjoyed the show and you've learned something from Ty, please like, subscribe, follow, whatever it is now on Podcast World.
Do everything.
But also leave us a review and let us know what you thought. And if you have any other follow-up questions, you can reach us on Instagram or on our email, which is linked into the show. Until next time.
Awesome. And share this with someone else who might want to hear it too.
That's a great tip. There you go. That's going straight into the script.
Awesome. Cool.